Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome to Double Reward. Today's surah is Surah Al Humazah. And in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes for us several character traits that we have to stay away from. He describes the character trait of backbiting, slander, and hoarding wealth. Is that why we came to this world? Is that why we grew up to become parents and be responsible adults? To backbite our Muslim brothers? And to slander? Or to hoard wealth? There has to be more to life than these things. But sometimes we fall into these habits. We slip into them. We think that little mistakes are okay. But this surah says, woe unto people who are like this. So we have to try very hard to stay away from this. Let's hear what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويل لكل همزة لمزة الذي جمع مالا وعدده يحسب أن ماله أخلده كلا لينبذن في الحطمة وما أدراك ما الحطمة نار الله الموقدة التي تطلع على الأفئدة إنها عليهم مؤصدة في عمد ممددة. I seek refuge in Allah from Satan the accursed. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Woe to every slanderer and backbiter who has gathered wealth and counted it. He thinks that his wealth will make him last forever. Nay, verily he will be thrown into the crushing fire. And what will make you know what the crushing fire is? The fire of Allah, kindle, which leaps up over the hearts. Verily it shall be closed in on them in pillars stretched forth. You see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises such painful torment for the people who have these character traits, especially if they're disbelievers. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises this to the disbelievers who have these character traits, the believers have to stay away from this and make sure that they clean their character out of these traits. It's hard and it takes a long time, but it's very much worthwhile. Let's practice this surah together here, inshallah. Are you guys ready?
Inshallah.
Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Waylun likulli humazatin lumazah.
Waylun likulli humazatin lumazah.
الذي جمع مالا وعدده
الذي جمع مالا وعدده
يحسب أن ماله أخلده
يحسب أن ماله أخلده
كلا لينبذن في الحطمة
لينبذن في الحطمة
وما أدراك ما الحطمة
وما أدراك ما الحطمة
نار الله الموقدة
نار الله الموقدة
التي تطلع على الأفئدة
التي تطلع على الأفئدة
إنها عليهم مؤصدة
إنها عليهم مؤصدة
في عمد ممددة
في عمد ممددة.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. MashaAllah, very good. I love this surah. I really do. I feel it has a very special sound to it. And it makes me feel good when I read it. Do any of you feel that way when you read that surah?
Yes, we do.
MashaAllah. Okay, let's practice that surah. Fairuz, why don't you start out this time for us?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويل لكل همزة لمزة الذي جمع مالا وعدده يحسب أن ماله أخلده كلا لينبذن في الحطمة وما أدراك ما الحطمة نار الله الموقدة التي تطلع على الأفئدة.
Can you hold up there? Can you articulate those two ains right after each other? I know it's kind of hard, but I know you can do it.
التي تطلع على الأفئدة
التي تطلع على الأفئدة.
التي تطلع على الأفئدة إنها عليهم مؤصدة في عمد ممددة.
ما شاء الله. أحسنت. Very good. ما شاء الله. Okay, Usama, let's practice 2 verses together, inshallah.
inshallah.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
ويل لكل همزة لمزة.
ويل لكل همزة لمزة
الذي جمع مالا وعدده.
الذي جمع مالا وعدده.
Okay, very good. Ahmed, you want to cover those same 2 verses again?
Sure.
Okay, let's say them together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
ويل لكل همزة لمزة.
ويل لكل همزة لمزة.
Very good. ويل لكل همزة لمزة.
ويل لكل همزة لمزة.
الذي جمع مالا وعدده.
الذي جمع مالا وعدده.
Okay, very good job. MashaAllah. Now, what you should try to do is tonight you should try to review the surah. Okay, and try to practice it.
Okay. How?
Oh, that's a good question. There are lots of things you can do. The first thing is you can get a tape. Well, the best thing for you to do is to have a teacher.
Okay.
Okay? And that's for our viewers at home. If you can find a teacher to help and sit down with you and come to your home, you know, once every day or 3 times a week, etc., you can learn with your teacher will direct you. But what you can do is you can get a tape. You can get, like, for example, a tape of Sheikh al-Minshawi or Sheikh al-Ajami, or you can get a tape of Sheikh Mustafa Ismail. You can get one of these very renowned qaris or reciters, and you can read after them.
Okay.
Usama, have you tried something like that?
Yes,
Okay. How have you found that it helps you?
it helps me with my recitation and it helps me to memorize the surah.
Okay. Did you feel like, you feel like that when you're reading with him, he helps you to pronounce the letters?
Yes.
Okay. That's a very important thing. Makharij al-huruf, or the articulation. It's very important to get that from an expert. And listening to it and saying it, that's the formula for success. Okay?
Okay.
Firdaus, can you read the surah for us?
Inshallah.
Okay, go ahead.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويل لكل همزة لمزة الذي جمع مالا وعدده يحسب أن ماله أخلده كلا لينبذن في الحطمة.
Okay, hold up there. That sound, حطمة, it's a ta sound.
حطمة.
Yeah, I didn't want to break off your recitation because it sounded so beautiful. Okay? One more time. لينبذن في الحطمة.
لينبذن في الحطمة.
Okay.
وما أدراك ما الحطمة.
وما
أدراك ما الحطمة.
Repeat after me. وما أدراك.
وما أدراك ما الحطمة.
Okay, there isn't a pause at the qalqala. Okay? وَمَا أَدْرَى
وما أدرى
أَدَ
أد
أَدَ
أد.
Okay? We're going to have to work on that.
Okay.
Okay, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْحُطَمَةُ
وما أدراك ما الحطمة.
Okay, keep going. We're going to have to work.
نار الله الموقدة التي تطلع على الأفئدة إنها عليهم مؤصدة في عمد ممددة.
Okay, that was very good. We're going to have to work on that qalqala, inshallah. We're going to come up to that, inshallah. And we're out of time, and we're going to stop for a break, but we'll be back, inshallah, after the break is over. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. Inshallah, today we're going to be looking at a new rule or new hukm. That rule is idgham. Now, in Arabic and in the Quran, the closer the letters get to each other, the more they like each other and the more they mix up together. The farther they are, the more they don't mix up and the more articulated each letter gets. Let's look at some examples that are going to illustrate that. The first example is min waq. Okay? This noon is pronounced at the front of your mouth. And also, the mim is pronounced at the front of your mouth. Because these are articulated in places that are close to each other, they mix together. And in today's hukm, what happens is the noon and the mim, they mix together and they become one stressed letter. Inshallah, an example will clear all of that up. So in our hukm today, we're going to be looking for a noon as-sakina and one of 6 letters. The first one is ya, the second one is ra, or mim, lam, waw, or noon. So whenever you have a noon sakina in any one of these letters, anywhere in the mushaf, you know that there is idgham. So you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, those are 6 letters. How am I going to remember them? Inshallah, we're going to work on a way and it'll be very, very easy. There's a word that summarizes all of those letters. If you remember that word, you'll always be able to remember what those letters are. You'll just put that word in your pocket. Whenever you come across one of those letters, you'll pull that word out and you'll know whether idgham applies or not. That word is pronounced yarmaloon. Say that after me. Yarmaloon.
يرملون
Yarmaloon.
يرملون
Yarmaloon.
يرملون.
Ahmed, can you remember that word? Say it for me.
يرملون.
Good. Firdaus?
يرملون.
Okay, excellent. Very good. Now what's the first letter in yarmaloon?
يا.
Very good. Ahmed, what's the second letter in
Ra.
yarmaloon?
را.
Very good. Yarmaloon. Usama, the next letter?
Mim.
Good. And Firdaus? Yarmaloon.
The lamb.
Good. And the next 2? Ahmed?
نون.
No.
واو.
Wow, very good.
Sorry.
And the last one?
نون.
Noon. So, now let's look at some examples. The first example is لِمَن يَخْشَى. But remember what we said about learning ahkam al-tajweed? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the rule, we're not going to apply the rule. We're going to look at the 2 words bare, as if they would be pronounced outside of the Quran. Outside of the Quran we would say لِمَن يَخْشَى. But in the Quran we say لِمَن يَخْشَى. Repeat after me. لِمَن يَخْشَى.
لمن يخشى.
لِمَن يَخْشَى.
لمن يخشى.
Do you hear a difference?
Yes.
That is idgham. So what happened? Well, what happened was the noon sakina in liman and the ya became one stressed letter. Let's look at another example. The next one is فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ. Now outside of the Quran, without the hukm, this is pronounced فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ. But in the Quran it's pronounced فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ. Let me see how sharp your ears are. Ahmed, can you tell me the difference between those two pronunciations? فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ and فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ.
There's a humming on the second one. It's longer.
Excellent, excellent. It's longer.
Yeah.
And that's a very important point to keep in mind. In idgham, there's a lengthening of your voice, and I think you can hear it. There's a slight humming sound. And that's what we're looking at here. This humming sound is called a ghunna. Repeat after me. Ghunna.
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 We're going to look at some examples later on without a ghunna. But for now, all you need to know is that the ghunna lengthens the sound a little bit. Let's look at another example. The next example is, without idgham, it's pronounced min ma'. Repeat after me. Min ma'.
Min ma.
Min ma'.
Min ma.
Now with idgham, it's pronounced mim ma'. Repeat after me. Mim ma'.
Min ma.
Mim ma'.
Min ma.
Okay, now let me ask you a question to make sure that you guys are alert and on top of it. What is the letter after min? Usama?
Meme.
Mim. Now, what rule applies here?
I might need a little help.
Okay, well, remember what we said? We're working today on idgham.
Idgham, yes.
Okay, so how do you know that idgham applies?
Because meme is in the word yarmalun.
Very good, excellent. So you know the rule, but you're just not remembering the name.
Yes.
Okay? Inshallah, you'll be able to remember the name, the letter, how to find it on the page, and how to pronounce it. Inshallah. But it'll take some time. Okay, now let's look at another example. Now, before I pronounce this, I want to ask you guys, what is the letter that's coming after the noon? Firdaus, what is it?
Wow.
Wow. Okay, now what does that wow mean?
Wow, that means if after nun sakinah, if have either 6 words, I mean yarmalun. So wow is one of the words. So we have to,
apply
the idgham inside it.
Okay, so basically, you see that you've got that wow there, and then you have that word in your head, which is yarmalun, and so you know that idgham applies here based on that word, because that word summarizes all the letters of idgham.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very good. Now, of course, you may not go through that process in your head in those steps, but that's basically intuitively what you do. But if it's hard for you, you could go through that specifically, in that specific order, until it becomes second nature to you. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now let's move on to another example. This next example is pronounced outside of the Quran, lan yaqdir. But in the Quran and with idgham, we say lan yaqdir. Okay? So repeat after me. Lan yaqdir.
Lan yaqdir.
Lan yaqdir.
Lan yaqdir.
Okay. Usama, can you tell me what the letter is after the noon? Lan yaqdir.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Now, did you remember that? Notice that there was a humming sound, or there was a longing of your voice. That's with ghunna. What we're going to look at now are examples without ghunna. The same thing is going to happen to the noon. The noon is going to disappear with the next, and both letters are going to become one letter, and we're going to stress the sound. But there isn't going to be a ghunna. Okay?
Okay.
So let's look at an example of that. Outside of the Quran and without idgham, this is pronounced an lan. Okay? With idgham, it's pronounced al-lan. Okay? So repeat after me. An lan.
An lan.
Al-lan.
Al-lan.
So where did the noon go? The noon, because there's idgham here, we don't pronounce the noon, we go straight into the lam. But now the question we're asking is, so where's the ghunna? Notice that I didn't say al-lan. I didn't draw my voice out. I said al-lan. Whereas with the ghunna, I did draw my voice out. I said, لِمَن يَخْشَى. Okay? So let's take two examples and try to hear the difference. Okay? Repeat after me. لِمَن يَخْشَى.
لمن يخشى
أَلَّن.
ألن
أَلَّن.
ألن.
Okay, very good. Now, the thing to know is that there are only two letters that don't have a ghunnah, and they are lam and they are ra. So let's look at our examples and try to find the noon, the lam, and try to see what we've got here, what hukm we have. The next example is pronounced min rabbik without idgham. Feiruz, can you tell me what rule applies here? And how do you know?
Idgham applies here,
Okay.
but without the gunna,
Okay, how did you know?
because there's a ra after the noon sakin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Now let's look at another example. Min rasul. This is pronounced with idgham. Mir rasul. Say it with me. Mir rasul.
Mir Rasul.
Mir rasul.
Mir Rasul.
Mir rasul.
Mir Rasul.
Okay, very good. Ahmed, do you feel like you see that that there's no ghunnah here?
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you see that we went straight into the lam without pronouncing the noon?
Because there's a ra.
Because there's a ra.
Ra,
sound.
ra,
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's right. You've got the ra and the lam. Whenever you've got any one of these two letters, there's no ghunnah.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Let's move on to our next example. This is pronounced mir rabbihim. Repeat after me. Mir rabbihim.
Mir Rabbihim.
Very good. And let's move on to another example. Min ladunhu. Repeat after me. Min ladunhu.
Min Ladunhu.
Min ladunhu.
Min Ladunhu.
Okay, very good. Assalamu alaikum, and inshallah we'll see you next time.